Good to go? All right. Thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting for May 20th, 2024. If you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could join me for a moment of silence, please, to recognize the passing of Rosemary Krieger. Thank you. I get attendance, please.
Trustee Levikas, trustee Cameron,
Here.
trustee Vijay,
Here.
trustee Flynn,
Here.
trustee Raby,
Here.
trustee Shear,
Here.
Mayor Mercurio,
Present.
6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for May 6, 2024? Moved by Jeff, second. Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for 5/20/24 for voucher numbers 64784 to 64828 for a total of $104,512.57.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Moving on to our first speakers in communications, we're going to start with a proclamation for National Public Works Week. We do appreciate all the work that our DPW does, and this is a week to recognize them. So I'd like to read the proclamation specifically right to you, Matt. Advancing quality of life for all. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the village of East Aurora. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, as well as public buildings and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the village of East Aurora, New York, to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, as well as the Canadian Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Peter Mercurio, Mayor, do hereby designate the week May 19th to 25th of 2024 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. A witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the village to be affixed and done at the Village of East Aurora, New York, this 20th day, May 2024. So thank you, Matt, for you and your crew. I know you guys are the ones in the middle of the night who jump in the ditch and fix the leaky pipes and that kind of thing. So we really do appreciate everything you do to keep our community humming. Thank you. Thank you. So this is our first speakers in communications. There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. If you'd like to speak on any topic, please raise your hand and when recognized, come up to the microphone. If you give us your name and address, let us know what your issue is. We will hear it. Sir.
Good evening. I'm Patrick Shea, 486 Griggs Place. Excuse me, I'm using notes. I don't want to forget anything. I'm here on behalf of the Rotary Club of East Aurora. The club is sponsoring a bike collection drive, which will be held on Saturday, June 15th from 9 to 1. The collection will occur at the Parkdale Elementary School parking lot. All bikes collected are going to be donated to the non-for-profit Go Bike Buffalo. The organization promotes a mobility culture, which impacts wellness, environment, streets, and the economies of our communities. They have workshops youth recycle programs, and encourage bicyclists of all ages and interests to repair their bicycles. We are asking the village board to release to the Rotary Club any abandoned bicycles collected by the East Aurora Police Department and are being stored by the DPW for the purpose of the Rotary Club transporting them to the Go Bike Buffalo organization. I have spoken to Chief Krieger and to Supervisor Hay and have received the chief's verbal consent. I'm asking the board to resolve or to consent to the release of the property to the Rotary Club for this purpose.
Thank you, Pat. I remember you did this once in the past.
Yeah, about
and
8 years ago, we
Yeah,
did
you
it.
took them on a truck and took them downtown, right?
Yeah,
And donated.
we're hoping more, so we're going to have a flatbed and a little bit more capacity.
So it's going to be community-wide collection of
Yep.
surplus bikes. And I know, because when I do the holiday decoration committee and we meet in the barn there, the DPW barn, I've counted 33 bikes that are being stored there.
Well, that's what the chief kind of estimated, or maybe Matt estimated that, but I want to make sure that they're releasable, that they've been in
Right.
custody long enough. So that's why I haven't put a number of bikes on it yet until I coordinate with Matt and with the chief for the actual date. We'll pick them up.
Where do the bikes go after they're donated?
They go to Go Bikes Buffalo,
Okay.
which is an organization in the city. They've been around for a long time. That's where we donated, I think it was about 8 years ago.
Same
We
place?
did the same thing, yeah.
Nice. And I think the process is that we would have to declare them surplus so that the Rotary could then take possession of them.
Yes.
And what's the next step for us to do that?
The DPW is gonna have to do an inventory of what they have. The police department, I believe Aaron will have to verify with the records of what can be released. And then a list will have to be made for the next board meeting that we could put on there of what could be released. You guys could decide to declare it surplus if,
Do you have to have that much detail?
yes.
I would think you could just more or less release them and let the details be worked out by the chief and the DPW. I think that's what we did the last time.
Know that,
You should have the.
I should? Okay,
But we'll have a meeting.
okay. June 3rd, I think. is
Yeah,
your
we'll have
next
another
meeting.
meeting before your date. Your date's June 15, right?
Yes.
Yeah, one of my concerns, and I love this initiative,
Mhm.
is just that I was in there working on the wreaths with the team and I saw the name Mercurio on one of the bikes. And I went and read the tag that was on it. And my daughter had found it. I totally forgot about it, like 10 years ago, maybe. She had found it in the creek. And the police came and recovered it. And it ended up in the barn, but it had the name of the owner on it. So I actually knew him. I called his parents, got his phone number, called him in New York City, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't know that's what happened to it." He goes, "I would have liked that bike back then." He goes, "But now I don't need it. You know, I'm an adult in New York City." So, Pat, do you know what we do or Matt, do you know what we do as far as finding the owners? How we do that? Do we just wait to see if they call looking for them, or do we proactively try to find out who owns what? Because some of those bikes are pretty valuable.
Register bicycle. The metallic sticker that goes on them. When they're lost and found. You can cross-reference that. But unless somebody comes looking for a lost bicycle. it's- Without canvassing neighborhoods, then this wouldn't know, there's no real way to find out who owns what.
Could we put it on a police Facebook page, maybe that, hey, if you've had a bike stolen or lost and you can describe it, please contact the police department. I just hate to donate some $400, $500 bikes. Some of them are really nice. I've looked at
I
them.
think that goes unsaid 24/7. If
Yeah,
you're looking for something.
You'd
lost,
think.
you see it.
yeah. But obviously it's not working, right? If we have 33 bikes sitting there, then the way we're doing it isn't working. So maybe we need to be a little more proactive. But again, I don't want to hold anything up between now and our next meeting. So
Okay,
maybe
so,
that's something we can get posted.
okay.
I'm also more curious, is there a local program where maybe there's kids in our community who could use the bikes instead of sending them to the city?
Well, anybody
Yeah.
can go to Go Bikes in Buffalo. It's not strictly for Buffalonians. They do programs around the county also.
Okay.
Well, you're saying like can we auction the bikes off and give the money to the Boys and Girls Club or something to that effect?
I don't know that you could do that.
I'm just wondering, there's a need in the
Yeah,
local
can we donate the
community
money?
if they want to use them first.
I don't think we can donate. We can auction it and keep it. I don't think we can donate it.
We could,
Well, I don't have a problem with the bikes going to go bike in Buffalo. I think it's helping people, it's whether it help they go to someone here or in Buffalo, will get a bicycle that they can use and enjoy and.
Mhm.
You know, I just think this is an efficient way to clear all those bikes out and it's a positive thing that the Rotary's doing. It's
And
trying
if
to,
you,
since we did it last, we haven't had any local organizations say, hey, next time, you know, we'd
but-
like those bikes.
Yeah, I don't
what
see-
happens, what happens to the bikes if nobody claims them and they're not donated to something like this? I believe they just get scrapped. Oh, okay.
They do get off.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot. We could bid it on by. a group of them.
How long how long does that process take? Like 5 years after, or 1 year,
It
or?
all depends, on the property law, it all depends on the value of the bicycle. The value of the property, how much we.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, still open speakers and communications, session 1. Anybody else want to speak on a topic? Yep.
I just ask a question on that.
Name and address.
Oh,
Please.
Joan Jacobs, 93 Elmwood Avenue, East Aurora. I just have a question about the bikes because I know I've had dirt bikes stolen and it has I think it's called a VPN. It's a code on the bike, on a dirt bike. What is it called? VIN, the VIN. So do bikes have a VIN? So I'm just wondering if those could be. Okay.
That's when they register them. With police department, and the tag sticker goes on, it's supposed to be harder to peel off than a regular.
And-
sticker. We document the serial number on the bike and the frame.
So bicycles have those.
The main frame of the bicycle has the serial.
Okay, so that's one way to catalog the
Mhm.
bicycles. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, it's Leslie Wade, 239 Sycamore, and I wanted to thank the board for addressing the pickleball noise. I especially want to thank the park committee, Ernie, Steve, and Matt and Jeff. We really appreciate you taking that extra step to really solve this issue. And I know everybody around the park has said the same thing when we found out. So I just want to let you know that. The other thing I wanted to say that there has been more tennis players out there this year. And also there's been people using the badminton courts. So that was really a good idea. I've seen groups almost every day out there, playing. So, and I'm sure in the summertime, it'll be used much more. So it was a great idea. I don't know if it was Steve's or Ernie's idea, but it was, yeah, people are having fun with it. So thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, that's what my wife got for Mother's Day. I got her a badminton set and we went out there and it's actually harder to do than I thought. It's more work, more
Yeah.
exercise than I thought it was going to be. But it was fun and quiet. So yeah, it's a good solution. Nicely done, Hamlin Park Committee and DPW. Anyone else? Sir.
I'm Eric Derringer, live at 200 South Grove. This is along similar lines to the noise in the pickleball court. We live right on the park. We've lived there for over 10 years and love the activity in the park. All the kids having fun, not being on screens like I am now. I think one thing that is a bit more urgent, and I don't know if it's been addressed by the board to this point, is some noise in the parking lots at night. We live 3 doors down from the parking lot that's on the south section of South Grove. And even at night, sometimes as early as 2 a.m., we can hear noise, kids in the parking lot, loud music, bass, we close our windows, turn the AC on. Luckily, we're able to do that. But it's an issue, for a lot of our neighbors who live closer down the road. I think, while we support all of our neighbors' right to feel comfortable, and safe in their homes, pickleball stops at 8, and people are very respectful of that. And we do, again, support our neighbors' right to have quiet in their homes. But we also want to support our other neighbors that have quiet that's disrupting sleep, when kids are in the park, at late hours, doing things that are, I guess if the park's closed, it's technically not legal. The Hamlin Park master plan, stated some mitigation efforts like installing security cameras and things like that, that I think would be helpful to mitigate this problem. It would allow, the police department to have live access to know if there's any issues rather than, neighbors calling the police, for help. Cameras might even be helpful for the courts themselves, to allow people to peek in. There's a live stream or something like that. You could see, are there courts that are open, because we were actually down there playing the other day and the couple came to play pickleball, but all the courts were taken, so they had to leave. So it allows maybe people to have a better sense of what's going on. Another thing, it's not entirely clear. There's signs that say that the park closes at 10, this time of year. But it doesn't say if you're in the park after 10, what's going to happen. If it were more clear that people who are there after hours in violation of the park hours, are potentially fined, perhaps that in and of itself would maybe help to keep some folks out, or maybe even generate some revenue, for the village that could be used toward projects to help out, in Hamlin Park. Or maybe even if there's just certain groups of people where it's a repeat offense, to grade the fines, if that would be helpful. Another thing that could be potentially helpful would be even gates, at the entrance. There's a gate further down south past that big tree with the door on it. I'm not quite sure what it's used for, but something like that, maybe that could be closed at night to prevent car traffic, I think would be helpful. But this is an issue day and night, more so at night, when people are trying to rest and relax. And I think it becomes very grating. So while there's multiple issues in Hamlin Park that need to be addressed, I think this is one that maybe should take some priority as well.
Well, Dr. Dillinger, we appreciate these points. I know I met you and your adorable family out there playing tennis
Yes,
that
sir.
one day. And I talked to you then, and then your neighbor between Kelkland's and that parking lot. So if you're third, it'd be the first house, right?
Yes.
He reached out as well and said cars were coming in at night and playing some bass music. So we did apply for a grant for cameras, and
We got the grant for $44,000 and they're
Wow.
getting a camera, and it's a movable camera system. So we are working on getting that in, but we just got notified that we got the grant.
Okay,
we just got it. So very timely.
excellent.
But you bring up some other good points, like Matt, as far as gates on those two entrances on the south football lot there. Would that be, do you see a benefit to it? Would that be hard to do? Or is there a downside to it? Who locks the bathrooms now? The police at the end of the day, right? So they would probably, it would fall to them too. What do you think, Pat?
There is a gate that's further down. It says Hamlin Park on it. I don't know. Wait, it's always closed. Oh, I gotcha.
Because Aurora Players is farther north, and then there's one down past that tree with the little elf door on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so they can get trucks in there if they need to.
Let me see.
Yeah.
There's a straight path there.
Yeah. Pat, what do you think? Because you know about the noise thing too, right? Do you see a benefit to putting gates on that lot?
Are you considering the noise or keeping the people out of the park?
Keeping the people who make the noise out of the parking lot. Like the cars that pull in there and squeal their tires and play their bass in the middle of the night, as we've heard of.
Yeah, I think, a gate could help. I don't want to speak without looking at it and,
You don't have to decide now. I just
but
wanted your first thoughts.
it would probably keep the parking lot clear. I think you have. Then you may push that issue down the street to the northern parking lots that aren't gated. It just depends, I guess, how bad they want to congregate, whoever they are, and what they're up to.
Yeah.
But that's not the only access point to the park, I guess, is my concern. And would we end up putting
probably have
gates
to
all
do-
over the park?
You probably have to do one on
Yeah.
that road. that leads to the lot by home plate. And two on the two entrances at the football. But then the linear parking lot along South Grove, I don't know that is really would be a place to congregate. Anyway, we don't have to
The-
decide now.
yeah.
the
It's a good
parking-
idea. Maybe we
Mr.
can start
Mayor.
thinking about it.
The parking lot entrance that goes back to the maintenance building by home plate, there's
Yep.
two houses that access that.
All right,
Yeah.
right.
Would be able to.
They use that as their egress, don't they?
There's a sign at the parking lot entrance that says, it points right to the parking lot, says no parking from 2 AM to 7 AM. Which I thought was a bit odd, you know, I don't know if there's people parking there, you know.
We
to-
do that in
yeah.
all the municipal lots for
Oh,
the
okay.
snow removal in the winter,
Okay,
but it's not something we enforce in the rest of the year.
okay,
So we,
Just so that the plows can get the snow out, and if somebody leaves their car there, you can't get any of it out, you know?
I see.
we're having a Parks Committee meeting in the park tomorrow at the rec department building, the recreational building, 7 o'clock tomorrow.
7, okay.
So we'll be there, Steve. Yeah, so if you want to come in, we're gonna do a
Yeah.
walk around the park. If you and your neighbors would like to join us,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
point out, any ideas you have. Anything that you want to discuss with us, that'd be an
that'd be great, yeah.
appropriate forum, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just
Yep.
throw this out there too. The planning board asked me that if you ever want to send park issues to them to review, also they'd be willing to do it. I don't know if that's something they should be doing, but it's just another option. If we want more eyes on something.
Yeah, another issue as well, I'll bring this up because a park neighbor brought this up to me. Was the issue of people using the courts beyond the 8 AM to 8 PM timeframe. And there are people going with the longer days, using the courts after they're supposed to be closed for the evening. So that's another issue we need to discuss and as to how we enforce that, what we need to do. People, I guess, when neighbors have gone and told people that, they're not allowed to start till 8 AM and it's over by 8 PM, people get huffy and have gotten loud and profane with them. And so that's a whole other issue we need to
Yeah.
into as well.
I think that sign, I think it says specifically pickleball, at 8 PM. I'm not sure about.
It does.
Yeah, so that has to be adjusted. But that's something we could talk about tomorrow when we walk around the park and look
Yeah.
at the signage, and we can jot down ideas we have as to ways we can improve it for the neighbors,
Very nice to be happy to. Yeah.
you know.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Who else? Sir,
Hi, James O'Donnell, 212 South Grove Street. And again, this is the issue about the parking lot at the Hamlin Park. It's ongoing. It's almost one after another that the cars come in with a heavy base. And sometimes it just lasts a long time. I've gone nights without sleep because they sit there and it's just every 3 seconds a heavy bass and it's pounding. When I left the house to come here, a car pulled in with a heavy bass and he just sat in his car. And it was one after another after another. Anything we could do about this, that would be great. I've met with Mayor Pete. Thank you for meeting with me once. The trustees, the Parks Department. It's hard to get any resolve on this at all. Quality of life is almost gone there. And for 23 years, I've lived at this place. In 21 years, there was never a problem. The baseball games, the football games, 4th of July, the bicycle tonight, they're meeting there, the bicycle, they're all very respectable people, but it seems like the basketball courts are a magnet for anyone with tinted windows, illegal muffler, and disturbing the peace sound system. And sometimes it never ends. It goes on and on and on. And when one pulls out, the next one pulls in. So I just want to bring it to your attention that how important this is. It's almost going to force me out. But how do I sell that house if I'm showing it and one of these kids pulls in there? I'm going to get laughed right out of the neighborhood by the realtor. It's a quality of life issue. And it's a major issue. It's not something that I'm very tolerable. I love the sounds of that park. I've seen donuts in that park, burnouts, drinking and driving. Then they get in their cars and they pull out and they drag down the street. And this goes on just about every day or every night. And there's not, I can't remember the last time that it didn't go on. And then, sure, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, they'll pull in there, they'll sit next to each other and they'll just pound with the music and the heavy bass. It's a real issue. And anything you could do would really help. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Jim. So, Pat, what do you recommend the residents do while we wait for the cameras and the gate conversation?
Certainly can always call, and be expected to call anytime you have any issues that affect your quality of life. There's loud noise, fighting, drinking, swearing, whatever it is that goes on. Call 911. Somebody's always gonna answer that phone, they're always gonna send an officer. You're never gonna be told, you're never too busy. If we are busy doing something that's, triage to be more important, we're gonna get there.
Sure, you know what, I probably called over a dozen times last year. And it stops at that point. But as soon as the officer leaves, a half hour later, they're back, and the next night, it's like it never even happened. So, like I said, I've met with the police a bunch of times, trustees, I've tried everything.
Mhm.
And they told me not to go over there and confront these guys. And it doesn't do any good anyway, because they're very self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And they're gangster wannabes that with this
Yeah.
heavy rap music. And if I can hear it, I know all the other houses in that rock that parking here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I can't stand the mufflers, and I know, Pat, you guys were great at addressing it last year as far as like the trucks that were doing burnouts at intersections or blowing smoke at people sitting on the patios at restaurants. Is that something like how's the enforcement been? It seems like it starts up in the spring, right? When the weather gets nice and people start coming outside and you get the
Yeah, I
hoodlums.
think, this time of year specifically, people are starting to come out of their houses and it's a lot more noticeable. But, we have more officers now than we've had in the last 20 years, and I would say a more proactive group than we've had in 20 years. And, the tickets show it. They're out doing their jobs. They're out doing things that make quality of life better. The problem is, if we're called to a certain part of town for something, we can't be two places at the same time when there's stuff going on. And I believe that's part of your problem. We don't have a 50 or 60 man force like Orchard Park or West Seneca, where, a smaller town with a smaller force, and we're spreading things the best we can. But sometimes the whole shift gets called someplace, and that leaves, the rest of the town not to its own devices, but, it allows for some of that juvenile behavior you're talking about.
And so I wonder if the cameras are gonna be enough for you guys to be able to enforce it and get there and give tickets, or if gates at night would just keep you from having to worry about it.
I think the cameras are absolutely going to help us identify the culprits. And when we do show up, if they're already gone, we can go pay them a visit at home and say, hey, look, we've got you on video. You're doing this same thing every night. And Mr. O'Donnell's not sleeping because of it. And you're going to stay out of here or else you're going to be cited.
all that up the sound, I mean, the video would show the car, how, it's that heavy bass beating.
Well, if you're calling up and making a
Is there audio?
complaint of noise, and our dispatch center has the ability to remote in on this poll camera, if you will, we're gonna be able to see who's there at least and identify
attached with them.
who's responsible.
The frequent flyers.
Yeah.
Right. We won't let this drop, Mr. O'Donnell.
We'll be over tomorrow night. Maybe we'll take a walk over and see.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock though.
Yeah, well, we're at the rec building. We'll have a meeting there, but we're gonna walk around the park and perhaps we'll partake in what you've experienced.
Yeah, I'll see you in the Hamlet Park parking lot.
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow. We're having a regular parks meeting, so we can
7
be,
o'clock, we'll be over on the other end.
yeah, but we'll be around.
it's-
We're gonna take a look and
The green, yeah, the small green shack that they use for the rec.
I'll meet you there, side.
Okay.
Anyone else have an issue?
Joan Jacobs again, 93 Elmwood. I know I don't live around the park. But I have very good friends, Tim and Leslie Wade, who do live right next to the pickleball courts. And for many, many years, probably 20 years, we've had a friendship that has included outside dinners and lovely times. And I have seen how this has disrupted their life. And I've seen what they've invested in their homes. I've seen what they invested in their yards. I've seen their kids grow up there. My kids grow up there. They've lived a beautiful, beautiful life around this park. And we can no longer enjoy their backyard. This pickleball is like what a SWAT team does to extract a hostage situation. It's all day and night. I've gone there for lunch. I've gone there for dinner. And these people now have a plexiglass enclosure around their back porch. And people can say, oh, you're just complaining. You're not living next to it. And I know I don't live next to it, but my friends live next to it and I enjoy their company, and we can no longer enjoy their hospitality around the park. And this is something they've been criticized on social media. Tim has gone out there and kindly asked people after 8 o'clock to stop the pickleball, and he's been threatened. He should not be policing this. We should be policing this, our village. And I know we're short-staffed. We're all short-staffed. I have a farm out in Wales. I'm short-staffed. Everybody's short-staffed. But this is a quality of life for not just the Wades, but for everybody around the park and their friends and their extended families. So I please ask you, I'm thanking you that this noise abatement has really been taken seriously and that something's being done about it. And I truly appreciate all that's been done, not just for the Wades, but for all their friends and families as well, and everyone around the park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, closing our speakers and communications. We'll have another one near the end of the meeting. Moving on to public hearings. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:34 PM for the site plan application for 198 Main Street, applicants Andrew Miller and Joseph Moore. I don't know how to say that. Morcell, operators of the bar at Main and Hamlin, to construct a roof over their approved seating area on the side of the building.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is open. Would the applicant like to give us a quick high level of what's going on?
Yeah, so what we're planning on doing is putting it's kind of like a shed roof. I think you guys have the pictures there. Just to cover the outdoor seating that we have. Last year we had outdoor seating, but we only had umbrellas over the tables. So when it rained out, unfortunately, the food stayed dry, but their backs got wet. We just think that it'd just be nice. It's not too intrusive. Looking at it from Main Street. And we just feel like everyone loves the outdoor, seating at all the restaurants and bars in East Aurora. And we just want to make sure we give the option for our customers there. So, yeah.
Thanks, Andy. So the fascia board on the front is gonna be, did it say like barnwood? Is that what it said in the plan?
Yeah. So, it'll be I think it's metal black roof. And, yeah, we're just trying to match the building as is, nothing too flashy. Joe talked me out of that. No bright colors or anything like that.
No lasers?
Yeah, nothing like that. Yeah, so we're just trying to, cover all the seating there. We're not adding more seating. We're just trying to cover the seating that we already are approved for and that we've been, using. So.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Board have any questions for him while he's here? All right, thank you.
Good, yeah.
Anyone from the public want to speak on this? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:36 PM?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ernie, second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? That public hearing is closed. I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:36 PM for local law 6 of 2024, section 180-2 and 180-4, alcohol beverages peddler and solicitor permits.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Molly, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is open. Who's gonna talk on this? You, Rich, or Chris?
I can start talking about it. Currently, the process for peddler solicitor permits is people come into my office and they get the permit that they apply for if they pass a background check. With alcohol, we thought that it would be better going back to the board and allowing the board to look at those applications. That is how they were originally when I started here. And just think it would be better if it was done that way. So it was brought to you guys to consider.
Thanks.
It was simply a gap in the permitting process. It doesn't prohibit their operations, just says come and get the permit and get town board approval or village board approval.
Thank you. Anyone from the public want to speak on this?
Hi, my name is Paige Hutter. So I own Tap Truck Buffalo, which is a mobile beverage catering service. We're based out of my house in East Aurora, right in the village. There's always been some discrepancies when I've asked for clarification for the peddler's permits. If we're on private property, we typically don't ask for permission from the board because it's on private property. So if we do events at homes, we have done events in the past with when we've partnered with Vanessa from Use Jar, or we've partnered with the Roycroft where we have pulled a permit from the SLA. And we didn't pull permits from the village because there was never clarification with regards to what my requirements were from the village for the peddler's permit. And when I've asked, there's really no direction given or provided of what part of the local village law that I should be looking towards. Everything that I've looked for, there isn't anything with direct relations to the alcohol portion of it. So some clarity would be really beneficial, I think, just overall. And then what would be the stipulations? Or is it more, are you looking for more board approval? And I can understand, Maureen, like putting that all on your plate is a lot to carry. So if we have to go in front of the board, when would it be? Like if Vanessa were to hire me for a private event at Muse Jar on her property, would I need to seek town approval or board approval from the village? I guess I'm looking for a little more direction on that and what that would entail for me as a business owner trying to operate when we are hired as the mobile beverage catering for an event.
So currently you have to get it for every event, whether it's on private property or not. That's how it's supposed to be. You usually can get it in about a week, week and a half time frame. The way we have it now, it's probably going to be closer to 2 weeks or less, depending on what day of the week it ends up, because it has to be in the Wednesday before a village board meeting, if that is what happens.
Okay.
So you would need that time plus about a week, week and a half for the background checks that go along with it. Those can be being done simultaneously when an application comes in. So it's not going to add a lot of time, but it's still going to have to go through the board meeting. So depending on when it falls, it could just be a little longer about when the board meeting is.
Right. Where is there a direction that you could point only? Because my concern is like if you were to, if somebody has a private party at the house and they have it catered, do you require them to have a peddler's or solicitor's permit? I guess that's where the gray area for me is, only
So
because
food truck, which is their own thing, has to have a permit.
right, which we are not,
But they're not selling the food. The person bought the food and is giving it to their guests.
which is what we do. So that's when we do events like that, like some stuff we are like, if we're hired by a specific event and it's tailored to that
Within
venue.
that event, so you're not selling it to the public.
Correct.
Okay, so you would not need it for that. If
Okay.
you're selling it to the public
Okay.
or giving it out to the public, you need it.
Okay. That is a little more,
So
offers a little more clarity.
you off, it's a pedal bike bar, like a pedal bar.
It's a 1950 Ford stake bed truck. So it's for hire for private events.
Okay.
So we come and they provide the beverages and we
Gotcha.
serve it.
I
It's just a cooler way to give out beer in town.
Right.
For a party
Gotcha.
or lemonades to Parkdale. Because we do that.
So all your events are technically private.
They are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That seems.
They're not all,
So-
I mean.
Not all of them,
they're
I
gonna
mean-
be on the road, if they're gonna be on the road for, taste.
Which is
something like
illegal.
that.
We can't be on the road. So like
Yeah.
I follow the SLA permit requirements, but there's always been a really big gray area when it comes to the village of being cited or saying that I need a peddler's permit when we're not soliciting, we're not peddling, we're hired by somebody to be at an event. And that's where I think the discrepancies come from. And I've never been able to find more literature on it to just make sure that I'm up to date so that I know that we're following the rules. I live within the community. I'm heavily involved in a lot. I want to make sure that we're abiding by the rules set forth in the community that we live in. So.
So if they get a peddler's permit, for example, so food truck, if they get
It's
a,
different,
Very
totally
different.
okay,
Not at all the same.
Yeah.
all right.
It's like apples and oranges.
Yeah.
But if you hire them to come and cater, say you have a
Right.
party, you hired Paige to come and cater,
I didn't invite you.
Cater
Or
to have
to-
the alcohol.
to have the alcohol beverages, but
Right.
in essence, alcohol catering.
Right.
They would not need a permit. Because Steve's.
They're on my
No public,
on my property.
Right.
yeah.
It's on his
no
property.
public,
Right.
No public.
no public.
Right.
yeah.
If it's a private event.
Right.
Just like hiring a regular caterer to
Right.
come there. I mean, obviously there'll be SLA issues.
Right.
In terms of service.
Which we
That
follow
never
to a T.
changes.
No, it does not. It doesn't get
But
any
they're not
easier.
selling them to guests at the.
They're not,
Correct.
they're not, she's not taking cash.
Okay. That
That
makes,
help?
and the timeline of that does make, it is helpful because with my understanding of it, if we had to go in front of the board, that was like, to me, adding on 45 days, which isn't always, that's what I was more worried about too. So when we have these last minute requests, like if they come in that, because the SLA is 15, it's a hard 15-day cutoff. And I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, so the meetings are the first Monday and the third Monday of the month.
Okay.
Normally, and we would need it in the Wednesday before.
perfect.
All right.
That makes sense.
But it says, so in this wording though, it says after a public hearing. So then don't we need another 2 weeks to have the public hearing? Not to throw a wrench into this.
No, that's kind of, that's where my head was going. And that's what I was
That's
concerned.
why it's a draft. Local.
What do you guys want?
I don't know that the public hearing is.
Isn't
necessary.
it?
No.
Well, we can always
Public
hold it
hearing
if we
is,
want to.
public hearing is over till I think.
Right, if we feel like we need a public hearing for something,
don't-
we can say, okay, well, we're gonna have not a public hearing, but we're gonna have the public.
I think to
Yeah,
get.
but-
What you will
Right.
do then is table the matter till the next meeting.
Yes.
To allow, as you have done in other cases, to allow the public to come in and address the issue
Right.
if there's a concern.
Right, not technically a public
Want to
hearing.
table it?
effectively. I don't think so. I think if we,
That's good.
I think we
can
can
make the
scratch
decision as a
public
board.
hearing and be,
And if it's some outlier event where we need public input, we
Yeah.
can just push it to the next meeting. But otherwise,
yeah, I think we've been good about that stuff before.
the board can make the
Terms of-
decision.
Changing this, I have to
After
just
the
go
public hearing.
cross through after a public hearing. Move the period
Before we approve it.
Perfect.
if that's
Okay.
what the board wants.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like it is.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Paige.
Just saying.
Anybody else want to speak on this?
Hi, I'm Amy D'Amato and we're Northeast Tap Company. We do something very similar to the tap truck as well, but we do serve to the public. We are a 1969 fire engine that has 8 taps built into the side of the truck. So we're a mobile bartending service and we service mostly festivals, fundraisers, weddings, backyard events as well too. So I have also been digging through all New York State, SLA as well. And we have been told that if we are going to serve a private event, we do not need a permit. But it's so different every village that we attend. So we are interested in serving to the public at festivals and in the public here in East Aurora. So when I talk to SLA and the State Liquor Authority, they tell us that as long as if we are serving to the public and we have a beer garden, where we're IDing as people come into that garden and they stay within that fenced in area for an event. And they do not leave that area with alcohol, that, we are able to do so legally through New York State. But if we are serving a festival where the street is closed off, we would not need a beer garden. So that's, we've been digging for about a year now, but I just want to be clear, because as we apply for a peddler's permit, I applied for a peddler's permit last week. to serve for a festival here in East Aurora with the intent to serve to public. But I'm just trying to find my way through that process, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly and legally and, ethically.
Very simply, if this local law passes, yes, you need a peddler's permit.
Okay,
And the process is set forth under Article 180.
okay. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:46 PM?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is closed. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve a neg deck under seeker for the site plan application for 198 Main Street, applicants Andrew Miller and Joseph Morcell, operators of the bar at Main and Hamlin, to construct a roof over their approved seating area on the site of the building?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a site plan application for 198 Main Street, applicants Andrew Miller and Joseph Morcell, operators of the bar at Main and Hamlin, to construct a roof over their approved seating area on the side of the building?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second
Second.
by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations, fellas. I get a motion to approve local law 6 of 2024, section 180-2 and 180-4, alcohol beverages peddler solicitor permit.
As amended with the removal of after public hearing.
That
So moved.
moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion?
Yeah. Sorry. That was
No, get in there. Get in there.
So looking at this, the A, B, C, D, and E, would that still come after those exceptions still qualify?
Those are the exceptions. Those are currently within the local law.
Okay.
So that's,
So they're still gonna apply to the alcohol permit?
no, that deals with other types of
Okay.
charitable, benevolent veterans, things like that.
Okay,
just the red.
It's just the red part.
right.
I
But-
probably shouldn't
So
have,
it's-
but I wanted to keep it all
Seeing
together.
This A, B, C, D, and E, did they come after just 180-2?
Yes,
But not 180-4?
correct.
So like C.
There's a
then-
180-3 in there too. I didn't print out.
Okay, but like C says, any solicitation made upon premises owned or occupied by an organization upon whose behalf the solicitation is made is an
Yeah, that would be
exception.
one of the ones, for example, under A. The charitable, benevolent veterans, religious school purposes.
Okay,
One of those types of
that's
organizations.
kind of what shows me that if you're on private property, you don't need to get a permit. So is that what protects that?
No, that's a different concept. That deals with who is the peddler.
Okay,
Those,
Not-
those types of organizations don't need. That's exception.
okay. It's not very clear here.
I just kept the same language that was there, like I said.
Okay,
It doesn't, really, the relevant portion is 180-4, which is the new section.
Right, but what happens if they go to a school or one of those organizations in 180.2?
If you,
Like
if,
if they go to,
that would have to be
Immaculate
the
has a-
organization itself doing it. Well, first off, the school isn't going to be having the alcohol
well,
oh, I
in
mean,
most instances.
If they have-
But you could have,
goes there and serves lemonades, but she's not serving alcohol, right?
yeah,
But-
we serve 650 lemonades.
yeah, lemonade is an alcoholic beverage unless you
just saying,
put something in it.
like Queen of Heaven has that every year. I mean, what?
Right, but they're gonna have a general permit.
Mm.
For the use, and that will include all the things associated with that.
Okay.
Those types of large events are covered really elsewhere within the code.
Okay.
This is more of a singular situation.
You both good?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you know how to process it and be able to answer these ladies' questions when they come in, I mean,
And Rich knows how to enforce it.
Define
Yeah.
How it's enforced.
how it's
yeah.
enforced. Yeah, I mean,
You comfortable with it, Rich, the way it's written?
yeah, fine by me then.
Isn't mine.
All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call vote. Steve,
I,
Kristen,
Aye.
Ernie,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Molly,
Aye.
and Grace.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. It passes. Thank you. Moving on to D, can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Baker Memorial UMC applicant Wendy Mix for the Strawberry Festival, June 29th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
so move.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Congratulations. I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for East Aurora Union Free Schools applicant Matt Brown, 5th and 6th grade field day on June 12th, rain date June 13th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Motion.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve new members of the East Aurora Fire Department, Connor Schiffman and Mitchell Schultz.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff.
Do I have to abstain from all these
I
now?
don't know, does she? Now that she's in fire department?
Budget, you have to refrain from budget.
Yeah, abstain?
Abstain.
I will abstain.
And one abstention. Oh, wait, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Congrats to Connor and Mitchell. I get a motion to set a public hearing for June 17th, 2024 for a site plan application for 123 Gray Street. Applicant Benison Development and James Boglioli for a 1,248 square foot addition on the back of the building.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion?
Is it just mirrors the seeker not, or the SCAF not completely filled out? Like, I'm not seeing answers in 5 and 6.
Site plan or the seeker?
Yeah.
See it?
You know, on my, there's gotta be another copy because I could have sworn that was on my other one.
We should look at 5 and 6. Let me see.
You've got 9 as well. I will double check.
Yeah, but I
That's
mean,
my
9 at least
copy.
had a comment in the thing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, another copy,
I
we
mean,
have the blank.
Yeah. I'll check my copy.
Okay. Okay.
And that's the one I saw, because
I thought that you guys must have seen something that I didn't, if that,
Okay.
but wanted to make sure.
Thanks, Rich.
honestly, I haven't seen it come up like this.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion on setting the public hearing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Pat, did he have to leave for good or is he coming back? He checked his radio and I should have moved him up the agenda. I didn't see him until he was leaving. All right, moving on to I, can I get a motion to approve budget adjustments for the 2023-2024 fiscal year?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? I get a motion to grant permission for the mayor to sign New York State's Liquor Authority Landlord Authorization Form for Robert James McLennan, Buffalo Music Coalition Music. Music Fest. Is there a comma between music and fest? Maureen,
Because we had to go back and change the agenda to add the line on it. I
can we get
forgot to
somebody,
Take it off that.
get somebody fired over this? Sure. She's like volunteering. All right, for Buffalo Music Coalition Music Fest at Fireman's Field. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion.
Moved by
Second.
Jeff, second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Roycroft Campus Corp. Applicant Alan Nowicki, Roycroft Campus Art and Antique Show on June 29th and 30th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? And can I get a motion to grant permission for the mayor to sign the union contract agreement with CSEA Local 1000 East Aurora DPW Unit 6767 for a term starting June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2029?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
By Grace. Further discussion? I would like to say I was at all but one of the meetings with Maureen and she handled it expertly. And she was gracious and worked with them to find a contract settlement that basically gave everybody a win. So well prepared and well handled. Nice job, Maureen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Moving on to new business, tree board proposal for consideration to restrict trees from planting. Jesse, would you like to let us know what this is all about? The Caleri pear,
Gallery, but yeah,
calorie?
sure.
No, I think you're saying it
Bradford.
wrong.
Larry, Bradford, Pear. I'm Jesse Griffiths, I live at 1955 Boise Road in West Falls, and I am still the chair of the tree board here at the village, as they won't let me resign. Okay, I sent you a proposal for an addition to the village code. We'd like to build and maintain a list of trees to avoid planting, starting with the Caleri Bradford pear tree. Most site plans projects in front of the village go before the planning board, and we managed to get some influence that way. What we'd like to do really, the goal here is to try to get a little more backing, something with a little more strength than just us saying we don't like it when site plans come before the village.
So I guess my
can ask,
question right
yeah,
now
whatever you
is, like, what's to stop someone from planting some invasive species that's bad for, right, wildlife or other plants or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Nothing at all.
So can we, versus, I think your verbiage was highly discourage people from planting it. Can we
Well,
outright prohibit residents from planting something that the tree board or, the tree board via New York State or the DEC or whatever, finds is not
Well,
healthy or
see,
safe for?
Well, if it's not healthy or safe, then DEC is gonna have regulations dealing with it. I was just
True.
reading over this particular language, which
Sure.
is.
I am not an attorney.
No, and I appreciate that. I'm just like, I get what you want to do, but this would need some work in terms of. Yes, can you?
That's fine.
It's clearly on public property, you can prevent it. In the public right of way, you can clearly prevent it. Much more difficult. On private property to prevent certain types of trees unless you can show they're somehow a hazard.
Sure. Now,
I don't know enough about this tree to honestly to.
That's
tell you.
fair. I
So you
can
said
talk about that
pear
and
tree,
answer
I'm
any
thinking,
questions about
oh,
the
yeah, there's
trees if
fruit.
you'd like.
It smells pretty
Um,
bad when it flowers.
That's
Really, yeah.
It's true.
But I guess legally, where's the bar set on who decides it's a hazard or not?
Well, our
Well, that's. I will look at that.
fair enough.
That's-
Fair enough. Our initial proposal, our initial request is to say, we'll make sure that we don't plant any trees that we've, using the DEC or the DOT lists that they keep, as a starting point. We'd maintain a list of trees that we just won't plant as DPW or, via tree board, things of that nature, as
Your guys are the easy ones and the DPW are the easy ones. You just won't plant them.
Sure, yeah, we just say no,
Silver
but
maples, 'cause
Yeah.
that's what you-
I just would say, but what I'm hoping
Amber-
to do is to have a public listing of these trees to help part of our mission, I guess, as the tree board is the educational component where we're supposed to be trying to convince other people to do good things by the trees.
That's a good point. Just because the DPW is not allowed to plant them.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't
that's,
mean the general public even knows.
and that's
that
my
the
goal, to
Kalari
say
pear is not good.
discouraged. I don't necessarily believe that, like, I'm not an attorney. I don't think that we should have the right to tell somebody thou shalt not plant the tree if it's available down at Murray Brothers.
Mm.
But we can certainly say, hey, we think that's a terrible idea and you probably shouldn't do it. That's the goal that I was going
Like
for with that.
Norway
That using the
maple's
word
considered invasive now too, I guess.
What's that?
Norway maple's another.
Yeah,
one
Norway
considered
maple.
to be
we have
invasive.
That was on
There's
his
a few
list,
others. Yeah, Russian
Yeah.
olive. There's a few other trees that the DOT and the DEC have listed, but New York State hasn't made any of these trees illegal to plant yet. Like the pear trees, Ohio, as of 2023, you can't buy or plant them in Ohio. They're taking over all the places the way the honeysuckle is here. So they're getting everywhere down there. As things are warming up, the trees are slowly moving north. It's only a matter of time before the pear trees get here. So, sort of the initiative here is to try to say, let's raise some awareness, what we can as a tree board to say, hey, let's stop planting them. Let's slowly replace ours that we do have as street trees and just discourage people from planting them any further.
Okay, I get what you want to do. Give me a little bit
Yeah.
time and I'll put something together.
Okay.
I'll share it with you
down with that.
before it gets back
Yeah,
up here. That makes most sense.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions for
No
Jesse?
questions.
I said it before, thank you for your commitment to this. I know
Hey, well,
you're
it's-
passionate
it's
about it,
a lot of
but
fun.
you do a lot for education, even just for the trustees. So we really
Right.
appreciate everything you do for the community.
All right.
Yeah, thanks
Okay.
for getting this together.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. All righty.
Anybody on the board have any other questions or comments
Maybe
regarding
there's-
this
maybe
proposal?
there's- Perhaps there's a way we can allow for the list of those trees. I don't know, maybe it is on the website already. The tree board list of trees not to plant. Get those on the website and maybe educate the public about them, because a lot of, I was in Aldi's a couple of months ago and they had a big box. They're selling silver maples. You know how I feel about them.
Yep.
And I,
Did you
and I-
buy them just? to
no,
throw
and
them out?
I surprisingly, I kept my mouth shut. Because a lady was walking out with one, or about to put one in her cart, and I felt like, and I stopped myself. I wanted to say, don't, but I didn't. And I just kind of minded my own business, but a lot of people don't know. They just don't have any ideas to, the,
Well, some trees like silver maples are no good, plant them alone, but if you plant a group and have friends to lean on during the storm, then there's no problem.
yeah, or if it's out in the field and not where it's plugging up your water line or sewer line. Right, and with the brittle branches that break and, but it's one of those. But if, it's the education component too. A lot of people just aren't aware, like,
Yeah, I can see that period. I think it's good to actually get it in the code. So thanks, Chris, for taking the lead on that.
No problem.
But I think you're right, Ernie. It would be good to have that on the website. That might go with what Nancy Smith was talking about before, about having a list of what are good native plants to plant. And then you can have this other list of like, please avoid,
All right, very good. Moving on to old business. We had discussed East Aurora. Fire department was gonna look into the EpiPen discussion that resident Sarah Horning brought up. And we have gotten some notes from the fire department, but I don't know, you guys wanna get into it now? I'm a little reticent to talk about it without any representative from the fire department here, as well as Chief Krieger.
Yep.
I know I've had a lot of conversations with, one of my good friends is an EMS paid firefighter for Lackawanna who carries an EpiPen for himself. And then I talked to a police officer out of Hamburg. Their department carries EpiPens. So I'm definitely interested in continuing this conversation. Probably better with Shane and Aaron here. I do feel that until we have very reliable EMS that's paid here, having a extra set of hands having an EpiPen wouldn't be awful.
I mean, I did do some research and they estimate there's 1 million Americans that have a prescription to carry an EpiPen. That's a lot of not very well-trained people who are carrying them around. So how dangerous, I guess, can it be? I know that the National Safety Council doesn't keep track of it because they consider it so extremely rare. Keep track of people being harmed. The thing I said I would look into was people being harmed by the unnecessary use of EpiPen. The National Safety Council said they don't even keep track of that statistic because it's so extremely rare that somebody is harmed by the use of an EpiPen. The FDA public dashboard said between 93 and 2017, so over 24 years, there was 126 deaths associated with EpiPens, but that includes accidental exposure, right? Which is the concern I know that the chief had, but also device failure and expired products, right? So somebody has an event that an EpiPen could save them at, and the EpiPen didn't operate correctly or had expired products in it, and the person died, that was included in that 126 death number. So I haven't been able to get that broken down to actually how many are actually deaths from accidental exposure. Healthline.com said kind of the biggest concern is really skin infections at the site that can be treated later. You know, probably, I guess, from the hole that somebody just jabs through someone's pants into their thigh or whatever. So I didn't find anything that I thought was really a smoking gun as far as, you know, there's a danger to it. So I'm still in favor of having it out there. I hate to give more for our police officers to do, but I know, Grace, you talked about the fact that they already have their kit of stuff that they have to take in and out of their car, so why not just add an EpiPen to it? I don't know, that's kind of my personal view, but again, I'm not an expert in this either, so it's something
I don't
I'll
know
have to
if
come
Shane
to.
could pull numbers on how much this would cost the department too. Cause if it's, you know, $15,000, how much do we just spend on sound deadening for pickleball? This seems, in
More
my
important.
mind, way more important budgetary wise.
Mhm. I know, Maureen, you're gonna catch up with the Hamburg Police Department as far as their costs and
I already
storage and
reached
stuff.
out. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
So I can tell you what he said there is they did win a grant for it. They currently staff, I think, 17 cars with EpiPens, and they do not plan on replacing them because of how costly it is for their department.
Mm.
We don't have 17 cars, and I don't think it will be as cost prohibitive for us.
So once those 17 expire, they're not going to replace them.
Unless they get another grant, they're not gonna replace them. It's $600 per pen,
What's the lifespan?
Doesn't it last a year?
18 months. I think
Yeah.
that's what they said.
That's
So
why,
But they've been realizing it's shorter than 18 months.
that's why I wouldn't rely on a grant for something like this.
Mhm.
They
Gotta be budgeted.
implement something, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
put it in the
I
operating
think
budget.
once you start it.
Can't stop.
To show you the weird part of all of this is you can go over into Niagara on the Lake or any other place in Canada, they're about $120 Canadian.
Sure.
So you can always buy them there.
Can we?
No.
You can do that.
Road trip.
Do that.
Road trip.
We could do some team building.
I just, you know.
Yeah.
We could stop at
Oh, it's a
at
mess.
May Washington on the way and get Chinese.
There's gotta be some state purchasing of those, aren't there? I make them a little
Is there state
cheaper
contract?
than just going to,
That's not a bad idea. Are they in state contract?
I'll have to look to see what it
Yeah.
is. They
Yeah.
they're getting them. They're just using CARES Act money to pay for them, which I know they're doing. I just don't know how much. They weren't able to give me the dollar amount.
Mhm. So you're gonna find out?
I have a call and they.
'Cause
said
we
they'll
only
get
need
back to me.
3 and they last 18 months, unless you're burning through them, using them, and then that's a good thing if you needed them, you
Mhm.
had them. Right, you could put them into use. But I don't know, I mean, I'm sure there's some training we can give the officers to make sure they don't use it accidentally and store it correctly. But
Well, we get trained at school, beginning of the year, it's one of our things, we have to go down to the nurse's office, they have, the practice ones, and you've got to go through the whole process and sign off that you've been trained in
how long does it take, the training?
5 minutes, less than 5 minutes.
Is it an annual?
Every year, beginning of the year, it's one of those beginning of the year things you gotta do. Sign off on, all the little videos, different things you have to. It's easy.
The biggest issue is just the temperature regulation of it. So they're just getting in the habit of not leaving it in a hot or freezing car is it. But that's just, they'll get there.
but that's the same as the Narcan, right? Don't they have the same
Pat?
storage?
Not really.
First-
Narcan. We haven't been given any direct. Big story.
Do they leave it in the car all the time?
Freeze.
No, Narcan carried by individual officer. Narcan's also free.
On their vest.
No, you could keep that, yeah.
Yeah, so the thought is, if they just had an EpiPen in their duty bag and they carried it in and out. Or then would you need one for every officer?
I mean, I think ideally, you're gonna institute this policy and make it that police officers are carrying them. You don't buy 3 for 18 officers, you buy 18.
Right.
And they're on their back, on their body.
And they always have.
That way they're going in and out.
You got, I need your.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, we don't know, right? Is there something they hand off to the next guy when he steps into the car?
Never.
The keys.
Oh.
So, but
They all have their own keys.
the issue is
Oh, they do?
when them in the cars, they're hot and cold.
So 18 times 600 is still 10 grand. I mean,
I know he's against the policy, but I think we can, in his absence. But every officer doesn't have their own, you know.
All right, that's good input. We'll gather some more information unless you guys have anything else to add right now. We'll gather some more information and
no, I just think we should try to see how we can make that work.
I agree.
Even if it's to start with 3 cars and figure it out.
It's 10 grand. I mean, to your point, we just put 8,000 for pickleball.
Right.
Maureen, do some magic and find some money in our budget for it.
All right, I actually, before I forget, I want to go back to H. I was hoping Officer Shea would come back in for this, but he must have been pulled away by work. Can I get a motion to approve the Hamlin Park temporary use permit for Quaker Club PBA applicant Pat Shea, the East Aurora Police Department versus the East Aurora Fire Department charity softball game on June 29th, 2024 from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second by Jeff. Further discussion?
What side are those, the new fire department folks who we just, are part of the police department? Who do they play for? They have to change their uniform?
Not a conflict. Internal conflict for those guys. 2 of our police officers just joined the fire department.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Approved. And now going back to old business, safety committee, Fillmore and Riley issue. Safety committee met on this. We've been keeping it on the docket and they even drew up a little map for us. And Matt, you're part of that, right?
Yes, sir.
And do you want to just tell us how you guys came? It looks like you came to the conclusion that you recommend stop signs.
Yes, stop signs and a crosswalk, and we would be losing 5 parking spaces in that area.
Okay, so can I ask about the parking spaces? Because coming down Fillmore, teeing off at Riley, it looks like you have 2 spaces on the left that you're removing. Is that right? I read the picture correctly?
Those are line of sight issues, and then the placement of the actual stop sign.
Yeah, and then across the street, there is 1 space that's already Xed off in front of their entryway sidewalk. And you're saying 1 space to the south. And then how many spaces to the north?
There'd be the 1 space to the south, and then I believe there's there right now on either side of the crosswalk, there's an area that's Xed out just for line of sight for the ramp,
There's really only 1 space.
for the access ramp. And
Yeah.
then you have to have an area for the stop line and the sign,
Cause there's the ramp.
so that takes up the extra spaces going towards the north.
So going north, so 1, 2. So is it 3 spaces to the north up
But they're
Riley?
not going, they're
Yes.
just gonna keep crossing here.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because they've got the ramp that comes down here, blue light is here, they're not. gonna
And is
cross
that,
across.
I mean, I look at it, like I went and parked in all these spaces and looked at, where the line of sight was for cars coming up at that intersection where they would be stopping. And like, is this just like standard
Well, yeah, you don't want to have,
standard DOT? They're like X amount of feet from a stop sign and there's no parking.
correct, there's that, and you
Not
also don't
subjective.
want to have any parking spaces in the intersection itself.
Right,
Right.
that I get. But I mean, farther down, like the one,
Well, stop sign would be right there.
yeah, but the space all the way down south. Let's see, on the east side of Riley, all the way south, like that space almost didn't seem necessary. And the 1 space all the way north on Riley on the west side by the rink didn't seem necessary. It seemed like there still was plenty of line of sight. But that's why I just wondered, is it subjective or is it just something, a standard number of feet that everybody uses?
There is a in the code, there is a standard number of feet that you're supposed to have open at an intersection.
And that includes those 5 spaces.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And you see the stop sign where see where that tree is on the corner?
Yeah.
That looks like that's where the stop sign is gonna go. So that's why those spaces are there. They're.
So what made
it's in
you
front of the crosswalk.
Yeah.
choose that side versus the closer to the Blue-Eyed Baker side?
There's
Oh,
already a access handicap ramp.
oh, where you
Cut out.
just, oh, gotcha, okay.
Oh.
Steve, you don't really see it on this map, but right where they have the crosswalk here, there is a sidewalk coming down
Yeah,
from
I
the
see
rink
it.
right to the road. You can just kind of make it out.
The little red dot in there.
There's a
Yeah.
sidewalk on the south side of Fillmore and not on the north side of Fillmore.
Oh, I got you.
South side, but not
Makes
north.
total
Right.
sense.
Yeah, okay.
All right, very good. So what's the next step?
Well,
Maureen.
If you approve it, we'll do it.
Right?
Well,
do we-
we're gonna have to
do
do
we-
a law to put it into.
We
so
need
we'll
to
just
make
set
a
public
local
hearing.
law in order to get rid of parking there.
Okay.
Set a public hearing if
Okay.
you wanna do that today.
Is everybody okay with it, the way the safety committee recommended it?
Yeah, I think it's great.
All right,
Thank you, Matt, and the safety
Yeah,
committee.
thanks.
thanks, Matt.
Matt, can you give me some distances for these areas so I can put it in the local law, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to schedule a public hearing to handle what we need to handle for this project? What is it? What exactly? I'm saying, to do a stop sign, to get rid of the parking? Like-
Local law regarding restricted parking along Riley Street.
And addition of a stop sign? Does that have to be in there too, or just restricted parking?
Well,
See,
I don't-
see, it was a good question, wasn't it?
yes, well, yes, but I don't think we need to put in the parking because that's a traffic control device, and I don't think we have that elsewhere in terms of where stop signs are. Parking, yes.
Not stop sign.
I don't think we needed to do it for stop signs, do we?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do it for parking.
Parking, yes.
Yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to schedule a public hearing for June 17th? To discuss the restricted parking that we just
Along Riley Street.
spelled out along Riley. Moved by Grace, second,
Second,
second by Kristen, for the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, thank you. Moving on to speakers and communications. Anybody else have any topics they would like to bring up before we close it out? Yes, Sarah.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Horning, 336 South Park Place. I just wanted to return and speak at the end because I saw that you had this listed, the food allergies and EpiPens in police cars as an agenda item tonight. And I also reviewed the letter that was received by the East Aurora Fire Department, which was put into public record. And I appreciate that being public so that I could review it as well. Just a few notes that I wanted to mention and share with you. First, I just wanted to say thank you. Your comments tonight and the research that you've done and calling other towns and searching online and just your care and concern over the issue means the world to me as someone who is obviously very passionate about this. So thank you for that. I also wanted to publicly acknowledge and thank Aaron, the fire chief, who's not here tonight, as well as Neil Caldiero, who both reached out to me personally after the last meeting to express their concern and their care over the issue. Specifically, how committed they are to increasing the EMS support for people with food allergies. The topic of cost, as you were talking about, whether it's 3 cars or 18 officers, I agree with Lieutenant Welch that if we're going to do this as a community, everyone should carry one. So I would encourage that if it's something that the board really does pursue, that I would encourage it for every officer. It does seem silly to high five on the way out and say, here's your EpiPen, enjoy your shift. I have been thinking a lot about funding for this. And one of the areas that I would love clarity from the board as you go down the road of investigating this is if it's an issue of cost, many communities have successfully partnered with pharmacies to donate EpiPens for this cause. We know as you mentioned tonight, you can drive to Niagara-on-the-Lake and buy an EpiPen over the counter for $90. And my family has done that for years and years because we want to have one in every babysitter's home, in every grandparent's home. We have pursued that. I'm not suggesting we do that because it's probably not legal for a village to do that. But I am suggesting that we look into partnering with a local pharmacy like Larwood, who is a locally owned and operated and has been for, I think, what does the sign above it say? Over 100 years, 165 years. That would be a great opportunity for the community to come together for a cause like that. I also wanted to mention that in New York State, I've brought this forward to the board before. GEO's law is the law that allows for the carry of police, fire, EMS, allows them to carry EpiPen auto injectors. And in other states, I've started reading about the laws that they've put into place, which are similar. And something that I wanted to share is that those laws are always named after a person who could have been saved if this law were in place. GEO's law is named after a boy in New York State who would have been saved if a first responder arrived with an EpiPen. In New Jersey, it's named Annie Laguerre's law for a 13-year-old who was at a sleepover and the family didn't have an EpiPen, and it was the first time she tried something that she didn't know she was allergic to. I will keep coming back to the village board and encouraging you to pursue this. I hope that you see me as a partner in this. I want to make this happen for the community. And as I've said before, our family has done everything we can to ensure that my children are safe. But my advocacy is for all of the young families in East Aurora who may not yet know that they need this drug. And with that, I'll leave you with a statistic that between 2007 and 2016, claim lines from insurance companies for anaphylaxis increased by 377%. And if that doesn't tell you that this is a trending issue for public health, then I think someday you'll say, remember that resident who used to come asking for EpiPens because it was unusual? I think that you'll start to see that this is an issue that other communities and our whole country will have to take more seriously. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything, comments they'd like to make before we close it up? All right. It's the end of our second speakers and communications department head report. Lieutenant Welch. All right, Matthew.
We started the rehab down at the circle on Main Street at the west end of the village and should have that wrapped up in the next week or so.
Thank you. Rich.
Our office issued the annual fire inspections to the local businesses, so they will be getting those in the mail. So if anybody in the board or in the office get any questions in regards to those mailers, that is, excuse me, for assembly uses that require an annual fire inspection to schedule such with our office.
Thank you, Rich. Maureen.
All the tax bills are gonna be going out. Sorry, people.
Wow. What a downer.
I know I'm the downer. I got all the blue bills everywhere. I hate looking at them.
You got something fun. You got something fun to follow that so people don't.
Well, we're getting a
Just
grant
remember that.
for the.
There you go. There you go. All right, very good. Thank you. Steve?
I'm all set. Just curious also how our administrator search is going and if there's any new developments.
No. Is there any new developments, Maureen?
Are we continuing advertising or?
We're still, the ads are still up, right?
It's still up.
Yeah, we got 2 more applicants in the last month. And one had little experience and one had 0 experience. So we're reviewing our options, I guess.
Right.
I'll tell you that like, it's not an unusual problem to not find people.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe it's the 1-year appointment, right? I mean, I talked to somebody who I know personally who would be great at the job. And she said, you know what? She goes, I got a job I enjoy right now. She goes, but to leave that for a 1-year appointment, she's like, I would never do it. You know, she wouldn't consider it. Now, she doesn't have government experience. I was trying to, based on her skill set, I thought, Maureen could teach her.
Didn't do it either.
Does it have to be a 1-year appointment? Can we
No.
change that law? So
You can
it's.
change the law to a different appointment.
we
I had
get
a
more
4-year appointment.
applicants?
It's possible.
It's been what, 2 years now, a year?
Year and a half.
It hasn't been a year
It'll
yet.
be to the
No, it's
summer.
last summer.
Feels like. forever.
Was it really? Feels longer.
It's like forever,
Yeah.
trust me.
I mean, is 1-year appointment the norm?
I would.
Or
not
is it
say
that you have that left in your,
No, it's always been a 1-year appointment.
really?
It's always.
So like, what are other municipal, like 2
Well,
years?
4 years or 2 years. I mean, I was 4 years in my last position.
Okay.
That's my point, is that
I mean,
might be
I,
something
I'd
that
rather,
needs to be
I wouldn't
changed,
jump
right?
for a year, but a 4-year gig.
Yeah.
So Maureen, since they changed the terms of mayor to 4 years,
Mhm.
Maureen's appointment is 4 years. Right,
Four
is
years,
that,
2.
but legally that follows the
The mayor's
mayor's term,
Mhm.
but village administrator has always been 1 year, so that's something that
To us
That-
exclusively or
we could change.
our town exclusively?
Yeah, the village made the law, so you guys
Yeah.
can change it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a state.
Might not be a
mandate.
bad idea to do
Yeah.
that if this is
An issue.
Yeah.
an issue in attracting respective candidates.
So,
Sure.
so if the mayor has a 4-year term and can appoint someone for 4 years, and the village administrator turns out to be undesirable as a village administrator,
Mhm.
what's the process to get rid of that person?
Well,
We're
here's the
still an
question.
at-will, we're still an at-will employee, right?
Here's the question.
It's not that.
Yeah, what's the contract say and have you changed the local law? If you change the local law to provide those 4 years, then it's 4 years and you better have a good reason to get
Yeah.
rid of them. Because otherwise you've got them for 4 years.
Mhm.
If you do it by contract, depends what your contract says.
Okay.
So we can change it from an appointment to a contract.
Well, it'd still be an appointment. but
It would
they're-
be an
they're-
appointment
but they're-
pursuant to a contract.
Gotcha.
Can you get some examples of said contracts so we can take a look and see if it's something that we might wanna massage?
I've made up lots of contracts over the years for different job titles for different terms.
But I guess you're just looking at them and not necessarily writing one yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me what you'd like in it.
Now, do you
Like it.
generally include conduct that's not, that they
I,
could get?
the bottom line catch-all phrase will be basically any other reason by the village board. I'm sorry, I
get it.
Great.
I make it as broad as possible for you
Everything
to
comma and
do it.
cut your losses.
All right,
Anything else, Steve?
no. I'm all set.
Thanks. Kristen?
All set.
Ernie?
Parks Committee meeting tomorrow at the rec building in Hamlin Park. We're gonna be walking around the park and looking at the improvements DPW made to the building. Spoke to residents on Sycamore. And they're very pleased to have the sound barrier going in. And they have said that the badminton is being used. Kids are playing badminton on the courts. And that's it.
Thank you, Ernie. Jeffrey?
Good, thank you.
Molly?
I'm all set.
Grace?
What's that?
Very good. I met with the garden club for a while in the circle and we talked through kind of what they were looking for and they spelled it out for Matt. It sounds like Matt and Jeff are executing on that, so thank you, Matt. They said the soil put in there by the state, I guess, was hard for to even grow anything in. And they asked that some of that soil would be swapped out with something more organic. And some of the things the state left in there, posts and wires and stuff, maybe could be cleaned up. And Matt, you guys saved some of those bushes, right, when you removed them and you're gonna put them back in? Did I get that right?
Yes, the garden club came down and they marked the bushes that they wanted to have saved to be replanted and we did that.
Perfect, thank you. And talked with the school folks about the banners. The senior kids banners are gonna go up this Thursday, right, Matt?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was this Thursday. It was Thursday. I got it in here. I think it is this Thursday. That, organized, yeah, this Thursday, they'll have them ready. So we should see those up. That'll be nice. Kids get a kick out of that. I think everybody gets a
I
kick
get a
out of
kick
that.
out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Wish they had that when I was in school.
So thank you for doing that, Matt. And we had a resident reach out about the sidewalks on Walnut. Where those new homes have been going up. And I sent it over to the code office, and the code office said they would talk to the developer tomorrow and have them fix it. So that the walks are passable, because they do have a lot of dirt and gravel and stuff piled right up to the road, so people have to cross the street to get past. And CSEA, I'm glad that contract is over again. Nice job, Maureen, with that. That's a relief that we can put that aside for 5 more years. That's all I have. Excuse me 1 second. Yay. Okay. Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss a employment issue? And we don't intend to vote after we come out.
So move.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. For the discussion. All those in favor?
I.
Aye.
Opposed?